Hello there, YouTube. You find me in the back of my van. I've set up my camp bed for the night and I'm going to run through the equipment that I have for my tramping experience. And the first thing that I want to say about my tramping experience is my van is it's a large van, so it's a long wheelbase van. It is a medium height, which means that I can stand up in it and not hit my head. That is a massive advantage, I think, if you're going to tramp in your van. Just be able to walk around. In terms of general tramping things, I'll talk about that at the end. But let's talk about first of all what I've got in my van for equipment. So, this is the bed that I've made up. It is a camping bed, like a fisherman's bed, and on top of that I've got a couple of these grey furniture blankets underneath, and then I've got a green 3 Seasons sleeping bag, and I've got a third grey furniture blanket on top for warmth. I've got a yellow towel. Towels are really useful. If you've ever seen Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, you'll know why. I use my towel as a bit of a pillow, as a bit of a sound blocker around my head, and also to some extent to block out light if I need extra light protection. And to be honest, it's a bit of a comfort as well. It's a really soft thing to have. I really like feeling it. It's my friend at night. And then that's what I have to sleep on. So at the moment, camping in the summer and spring and even the autumn is fine. I've never done it in the winter. I'm not sure if I will cope, but certainly I will need a better sleeping bag. I need a 4 Seasons sleeping bag. I have got a hot water bottle with me, and if it's very cold I can use my kettle to boil up some water before I go to bed, and put that hot water bottle in the bottom of the sleeping bag. So that is one little tip that I would give. Something that seems obvious, but not everyone's said it. What else have I got? So I suppose the other thing is, just a quick note, I bring my Chromebook and my wallet and my phones in from the cab just in case. So I think a value is with me in the back. And there are my shoes, and my keys are in my shoes, and later on my glasses will go in the shoes. And then behind me is my tramping bag. It's a black bag, and within that bag I have other smaller bags. The stripy one on top has got my toiletries things in, so it's like my tablets and like a wash bag, my hot water bottle, a flannel, and a little bowl. So if I need to have a wash, I'll use the hot water bottle water, which is still warm in the morning, put it in the bowl and use the flannel to have a little wash. But if I haven't got any hot water, I'll use just baby wipes, which are in there as well. The bag just beneath it is my clothes bag. I've basically got enough clothes for a couple of extra days. So what I'm wearing now is one day, and I've got t-shirts, underwear, socks for 2 more days, and a pair of jeans and a pair of trainers in there. And then there's a third bag which is on the other side, inside, which has food, but hasn't got very much in at the moment because I've run out. But I also have in that bag, in the tramp bag, a couple of bottles of water as spare water. And that's basically my tramping setup. Oh, the light. There's a light in the ceiling which I can take off and move. It's attached by magnets, so I can move it around and take it next to me when I go to sleep. Also, I use the wheel arch as a little shelf, and I've got some water on there, and that bag, you can see, is where I store my camp bed during the day, so it's out of the way. So usually I have my tramping bag by the bulkhead. I can move it around if I need to get out of the way, and I have my camp bed stored there over my wheel arch. Okay, so let me sit down or lie down. I'll give you a view of the back of my van while I talk about tramping in general terms. So this is my view on what tramping is and what it isn't, and it's just my perspective. First of all, how to define the word tramping? Well, I define tramping as a driver staying away from home overnight, often in their van. I have in the past tried to sleep in the cab, and when my load bay is full of stuff, I have to sleep in the cab lengthwise. You could do that. You could sleep in a tent, either inside your back of your van or outside, just by the side of your van. I regard that's been tramping. You could do what I do, is set up blankets or an airbed or a camp bed inside the loading bay of your van. I think for me, a long wheelbase van and a medium height is perfect. I haven't got any insulation, so in the winter it will be cold. But you could do this in a smaller van, any size van that fits you really, as long as you've not got a load in the van that takes up the space. You could, as I said, sleep in the cab of your van, even if it's small, if you're short, if it fits. Or you could generally just go camping next to your van somewhere. I'm not into camping, so I'm quite happy to stay in the back of my van. You could regard staying in an Airbnb as tramping, but for the purposes of this video I'm not including that. I think Airbnb and budget hotels, they still allow a driver to stay out overnight and not go home, but I think the word tramping for me doesn't really fit. That's more sort of staying in a B&B, which I think is a slightly different thing. Obviously there's a cost difference. It costs more even in an Airbnb to stay there. It's more comfortable probably in an Airbnb or a budget hotel. You will probably have a toilet available, or even a shower available in those places. Whereas in a van you probably don't have those things to hand, although you could park somewhere nearby where there is those facilities. Tramping is something that you can make it work for you depending on what your preferences are, and I've found that I like doing this job to have the freedom to go anywhere in the country, and therefore for me to be able to tramp in the back of my van is a really cost-effective way of staying out overnight, and it gives me a sense of freedom, gives me a sense of being efficient with my resources. I have very little. I spend very little money on my ongoing costs. To be fair, to give you some idea, the camp bed was in the region of £90. The sleeping bag was about £40. The furniture blankets were really part of doing the job, so not really part of tramping. My bag is probably about £5 for the tramping bag. What else do I use? My lights is a minimal cost. and the things that are in my tramping bag are just stuff I have anyway. So really, the costs are very minimal for reasonably comfortable at night. The other thing I haven't mentioned is that I was gifted a very thick fleecy top, which from my partner, and so I do wear that to help with warmth, and it's nice and snuggly. Yes, but in terms of equipment, it's very minimal equipment needed, and the setup it takes me sort of 5 minutes to set up. I no longer bother wrapping up my sleeping bag into its little bag. I just put it straight into my big tramping bag, so I save time trying to get that wound up really tightly. And the furniture blankets just get hung up at the side there along that strap, and then the camp bed, I said, gets put in the bag to my right here, this bag here. So it's all put away neatly. It's all very easy to put away. So why would you tramp? I'll give you a bit my perception of the context. I think that historically, tramping was probably just done by truck drivers who were in their trucks going long distances. It wasn't necessarily about saving money or a necessity. It was probably more about the idea that they had to have breaks and they couldn't get home in time from a long journey, so sleeping in their cabs or in their beds in their lorries would have been the solution. So I think that's probably the starting point of tramping. In terms of the job, I think over time the margins for same day courier work have got tighter and tighter and tighter, and maybe 30-40 years ago you could afford to go out, do one job out and just drive back home without worrying about the money. It would just pay for itself, one job, and then over time backload systems became prevalent to kind of make the job more efficient, so people would get a job out and then try and find a backload job home cheaper, but they'd still get home most nights, apart from people doing a very long journey. But nowadays, I think because of the margins getting so squeezed, if you're in a certain area of the country with a certain amount of competition, you're probably not going to find enough work near to you at the price that will pay for you to run your business without some element of tramping involved. So it might now be more of a necessity than a choice. Although we all have a choice about how we run our business. I think I've found that I couldn't earn the money that I needed to earn if I didn't tramp. So tramping for me is a necessity because I have a certain amount of money that I want to earn doing this job. If I had less overheads, I wouldn't need to tramp. If I lived in a better area with industry, I wouldn't need to necessarily worry about going long distances. I could just stay local. So for me, tramping is absolutely fine. I'm quite happy doing it. I've learnt that I don't like doing it for the whole week. For me, a couple of nights tramping in a row is enough. I'd rather get home on the third night. So either one night tramping or 2 nights tramping in a row and then go home. But we're all different. So how we see tramping and how we treat tramping is going to be so individual and personal. And I think some people would hate it, and I think I might really not like it during the winter. I think I'll still do a bit of it, but maybe not quite so much. But we'll see. I think some people will love it for various reasons. Some people will go elaborate with the equipment, some probably very basic. I think that if you're new and you live in a very quiet area of the country for industry, so I suppose some areas would be I suppose typically Wales. I suppose to some extent it's parts of Scotland, Cornwall areas, there'll be places around where you're not going to get a lot from where you are, from your home location. Well, it doesn't mean that you can't do this job. It just means that you probably need to do tramping. So you'll need to get a job from where you live on a Monday and get somewhere else in the country where there's more work, and then expect to not get home every night. So if you like the lifestyle, if you can make it work financially, tramping is one way in which you can make a living out of this job. But if you don't like that, there are some areas of the country where you can't make a living doing this job. You do need, as everyone says, to get your own customers in time. So maybe that's a way, if you're in a quiet area, to get out of tramping. But I think even if you are in very remote areas, you might need to, even with your own customers, get some aspect of tramping. It might be that you end up going for Airbnbs as a compromise, and it's just not my thing. I just don't want. I've tried it. I just don't feel comfortable doing Airbnb. I love the freedom I get from just being self-sufficient. I just park up anywhere. It could be a lay-by, it could be an industrial estate, it could be a park, it could be by the sea, in a wood, and all those places, by a lake, and you just park up, spend 10 minutes getting set up, and then you're ready. I'm ready, and then I'm ready to get some sleep. The key thing about tramping, as I suppose is obvious, is it's about getting the rest that you need to be ready for the following day. So it's not just about not getting cold or wet, which obviously it's raining at the moment. In this setup, it's about getting some sleep. So I do have with me an eye mask, and I do obviously use my towel to put around my head if it's too noisy. But the key thing is to get enough rest so you can get up in time to catch the jobs in the morning. But yeah, I love the independence that this gives me. I can't imagine any other way of doing this job for me. It works so well. And I think as a result of me being able to tramp, I can therefore take jobs pretty much anywhere at any time. I am a bit choosier as I get into this job, so I am beginning to avoid London now. I am experiencing different parts of the country. So at the moment I'm in the south west. I've not been here for a while. I was by the sea earlier today, which is really nice. I've tramped outside my collection point for the morning, and so I'll be ready to go first thing in the morning, which will get me a great start for tomorrow. Okay, so I think I've covered everything about tramping that I can think of that's relevant. I'm sure there's other stuff. One of the great things about the videos is there are people out there who come up with some really interesting, insightful perspectives on the ideas that I talk about. I'm sure, I've no doubt there'll be more great ideas about tramping, about what is good or bad about it. I'll just finish off the video by saying it's not for everyone. The other thing I did one more thing, safety. So I was concerned about my safety when I first did tramping, but I do tramping quite a lot. I probably do it 2 or 3 times a week, and I'm coming up to 6 months now. I've never felt unsafe doing tramping. The closest I got to was I was in a car park by a wood, and there was lots of engine noises going on. It was more of a disturbance than a worry. I just couldn't get much sleep, lots of cars coming and going to quite late in the evening. But I just kept myself to myself. I suppose security wise, I keep all my valuables with me, and yeah, I don't feel vulnerable at all in the van. No one's ever come up to my van to talk to me, or find it, or knock on the van, or look in the van. And maybe I've just been lucky. Maybe there is places which are more dodgy. I tend to. I did do a bit of tramping in industrial estates, and they're quite good, but they can be noisy in the morning quite early on. So I kind of prefer. I use Park for the Night app to find places. Today I use that, but there's nothing around here locally. So I've just come to the depot that I'm collecting from, moved around the road, got somewhere that's level because it's quite hilly, parked on the side of the road, and there's no parking restrictions on this road. It's basically an industrial estate. I think it's quite quiet at the moment. Time will tell. I'm really close to my pickup point for the morning, and it should be fine. But so safety and security I've got no problems with. So yeah, so anything you want to add, please do. I hope this has been useful for people who are new to the job. I would recommend considering it to get a better earning potential. I understand that because of the margins being so tight, tramping has become a thing that's more of a necessity for some people than a choice. But I suppose, coming back to my good old friend framing, when I started looking at this job, tramping was a thing. It was a thing that people did, and therefore I just thought, oh, it's normal. So tramping is normal. If I'd been doing this job for 30 years and tramping was never a thing at the start and then became one, you'd be thinking, well, that's unusual. I don't want to do that. It's not what I'm used to. But I'm used to it being the norm, so I'm happy doing it. Yeah, there you go. That's it. That's enough. Thank you very much for listening. I'll try and upload this video. I'm doing this on my other phone today because my first phone is still uploading the video from this afternoon. So let's see which one wins. Right, fairly well. See you in the morning. Bye bye.